Welcome to Concept. I'm Dr. Bill Loveless. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to talk about getting serious with money. You say, what do you mean by that? I mean, a lot of people don't understand how serious they need to be with money, particularly with their uses of money and misuses of money. And we're not going to talk about budgeting at all today. We're going to talk about a very basic kind of underlying concept. Getting serious with money. Money is one of our assets. We have lots of it or little of it. I don't know how you are. I know how I am. I'm happy I have what I had. Wish I had more. I'm better off than some people who don't have as much. Kind of in the middle someplace. And probably most of you are kind of there too. So we're going to take a look at getting serious with money. We all have certain assets. And to varying degrees, we have these assets. Our assets include money, time, and mind. Now there's more. There's energy. There's a number of other assets that we have, but I want to focus today on these primary ones, and particularly on money, but I want to look at time, and we look at energy and mind, and say these are all assets that we have. We start off, of course, with no money at all. We end up, depending on how we've done during our life, with a lot of money or no money or some money. And that's a matter of planning, and that's a matter that all of us have to kind of take our time doing and working through. But these basic assets of money have to do with our whole lifestyle, which is what this program is all about. Using your assets appropriately brings very positive rewards. For instance, personal satisfaction. People who use their money well are personally satisfied. And the key there is well and satisfaction, because what brings one person satisfaction may not bring another person satisfaction. But the wealthiest people in the United States, the Warren Buffetts and the Bill Gateses of the world, have clearly taught us that the personal satisfaction of actually investing your money in the world and in other people is a very, very satisfying thing. So personal satisfaction comes. A sense of accomplishment comes when we use our assets appropriately and use these assets so that we get positive rewards from them. And we're comfortable. We have pleasure with those assets. They bring us a good bit of comfort. These are the benefits that accrue to us as human beings from the assets that God has given us, the assets that we work with Him to accumulate during the life, and these used properly can bring personal satisfaction, a sense of accomplishment, and a lot of comfort and pleasure to ourselves and to other people, and can lead to a development of legitimate power. Now, the operational phrase here is legitimate power, because a lot of very powerful people with lots of money use that power illegitimately, see, and that's not what I'm talking about today, because I'm using legitimate, defining the word power, so that it's something that we all strive for and can use well. Actually, when we misuse our assets, these assets that we've talked about, certain other things come. We spread pain, destruction, mistrust, and tyranny. When we misuse the assets we have, and particularly today we're talking about money, we spread pain to our families and to our neighbors, our world. In many cases, destruction on a worldwide basis. When we misuse our assets in war, war is a misuse of assets as far as I'm concerned. It never proves who's right. It only proves who's left, and that's not a very satisfactory outcome. It misuse of our assets brings about a lot of mistrust, and people want to have everything in writing, everything in contract, word and shaking of the hands, and a word promise doesn't mean anything anymore. There's a lot of mistrust when the assets are misused, and actual tyranny. Wealthy people who don't understand how to use their assets well can very easily be involved in collusion with tyranny. That's been the case since human beings have been on this earth. And so these are some of the misuses of the assets that we can find. Issues that cluster around money. Now, we're going to focus now not so much on anything else but money. We're going to look at money as an asset and take a look at some of the issues that cluster around money. Ooh, there's a big one. Power. My goodness sake, yes. He who has the money has the power. There's no question about that. So that's powerful. The only thing that's more powerful, Saul Alinsky said one time, is organization. Organization is more powerful than money, he says. And I kind of think maybe he's right. But money is powerful. And money does bring about certain controls. People who have money say, here's what we're going to do with it. And if you don't do that with it, then I'm not going to give it to you. So that's something that kind of comes with a spot too. Control. Trust. Well, we could write trust or mistrust here either way. It could go either way. People with money can be trusted, and as we've discovered in our culture, can be mistrusted as well. These are some of the things that happen. Dependency. This is a major issue that clusters around money, is dependency. The whole question of dependency is very large in the United States and has been that way for years, and I propose will be that way for a very, very long time. I'd like to have you take a little survey with me now. I'm going to ask you some questions. And just for yourself, let's have some fun and see what kind of answers you come up with. What is the meaning of money to me? Or to ask it in a different way, what is the meaning of money to you? What does money mean? Ask yourself that question and write down some of the answers. What is the meaning of money? Does it mean security to you? Does it mean the ability to buy? Does it mean the ability to travel? Does it mean the ability to what? What is the meaning of money? What does it mean to me? What are my assumptions about money? I mean, we grow up in families where there are certain assumptions made about money. The uses and the misuses of money are a very, very crucial thing for us to think about. What are my assumptions about money? Do my beliefs, do these beliefs that we've just been talking about money serve me now? Do my meanings of money and my assumptions about money serve me well, or is it a problem for me? Am I having difficulty with these assumptions? Am I having difficulty with these meanings that I attribute to money? So let's look at a spending survey, and this will help us. We're getting a little more involved now. We're getting serious about money, and let's take a look at how we spend money, what we spend money on. Number one, do I make spending decisions consciously or out of habit? That's a very key question. Do I make spending decisions consciously or out of habit? I just kind of, this is what I do every month. This is what I do with my money. And it's just kind of a habit. It's the way I do things. May not be all so bad. May not be all so good, depending on what the outcome is. Do I use money as a drug to make me feel better? Do I go on these shopping sprees just to feel good? Drug money. Money becomes kind of like a drug to deal with my depression or to deal with my discouragement or to help me understand who I am. Money becomes kind of like a shot in the arm. When I have it, when I don't have it, I'm down. My whole level of functioning depends on how much or how little money I have. Do I use money to get even? Wow, there's a good one. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give you anything now. You have done the thing that I asked you not to do, and so you are going to get punished. I'm going to take it out on you by withholding money from you. Or I'm going to do this or that because you misused your money that I gave you. So I'm going to punish you. I'm going to get even with you for the misuse of money. This, the reason is more important than the affordability in all of these questions. In other words, do I spend consciously out of habit? Do I use money as a drug? Or do I get even with it? Or what do I buy and what I do? The reasons is more important that you do this than the affordability. And what do we mean by affordability? Well, here's what I mean by affordability, at least in this program. You have money to pay cash. Listen carefully, yes or no. You have money to pay cash or enough in the bank to convert to your use on the credit card. In other words, you have no unpaid balances in the bank on your credit card. And if you had to, you could pay for this by check or by a credit card. Either way would be the same. That's what we mean by affordable. You have already put the maximum amount of your money retirement in a retirement plan. Number 3, you are current with all your bills. Number 4, you make regular deposits in a savings account. I didn't say how much of a savings account. You know, may be a little IRA someplace with $42 in it. I really don't care. We're not talking about amount so much as we're talking about a regular habit. And you invest at least 10% of your take-home pay in a taxable investment. And I would like to add one word there, taxable investments, because one investment is never the way to go. You need more than one. You need to kind of broaden out the investments. So that's what we mean when we say affordable. Handling money successfully in marriage requires several things. It requires, number 1, a full disclosure of all money questions. Hello? No secrets, Dad. No secrets, Mom. We all know everything that's going on. There's full disclosure of all money questions. Basic concept for handling money successfully in marriage requires that. Secondly, a view of partners as equals, regardless of who makes the most money. This is a tough one for a lot of people, particularly if they grew up in a family where this wasn't the case. If they grew up in a family where Dad made the money and Mother didn't, to look at the two as equal partners, regardless of who makes the money, with many families having 2 people working, and sometimes Mother making more than Dad, but not often in American families, then we have a real problem here, possibly. And number 3, an agreed upon assignment of duties. So let's take a look now at the handling of money successful in marriage. 3 things that we're saying are very, very crucial for this to happen. Number 1, full disclosure of all money questions. No secrets, no hidden bank accounts, no hidden savings accounts, no hidden anything. Number 2, a view of partners as equals regardless of who makes the most money in the job. And number 3, an agreed upon assignment of duties. Who balances the checkbook, who does the investments, who does budgeting, if you do fairly detailed budgeting, who does all of this? In other words, an agreed upon assignment of all of the duties that we have in our family. That's what we call handling money successfully in a marriage. Now let's go over a checklist to see how you've achieved money usage compatibility. Okay, sit down, sit everybody down, Dad and Mom, and let's talk about these questions one at a time. These are very, very crucial questions. Could our money relationship be characterized as master slave. You know, there are some families where it's master slave. Dad is usually the master and mama is the slave. Not always, not always. But it's I give you so much. It's kind of a master-slave situation. It's not a real happy situation, but in some cases people are very used to this, and they go along with this like it's okay. A second one, and I'm not apologizing for the word because I've seen this oftentimes in my work, loving jerk and silent victim. I am in charge of everything. Now, it's not always the male. Sometimes it's female. I'm not talking about gender here. Loving jerk is the one who has complete control. And the silent victim is the one who is silent and taking what is given with no questions asked. In other words, loving jerk, silent victim. There's an inequality going on in this relationship. Big daddy and child. That's another one, big daddy and child. I often see that, and this does involve usually male, female. And big daddy is big daddy, and big daddy's in charge of everything. Big daddy probably grew up in a home where that was the case. And so, you know, it's the case in big daddy's home. And mother is the child and is treated like a child. Doesn't have enough sense to make good judgments. And so big daddy and child is another relationship in families. Secrets galore about our finances. And it's enough, there are some families who have financial pictures like this, secrets galore about our finances. There are secret bank accounts, secret savings accounts, secret accounts for this, and secret accounts for that, not even in the same town in many cases. Very, very dangerous checklist of how you handle money in your family. Another one, a static one, traditional roles in management. Everybody has their assignment. They know what their assignment is, and they do that assignment. It's a static kind of situation. Well, this can work. All of the above can work if you work them. But the static arrangement where everybody has the assignment is really kind of boring and sometimes really very traditional and would be nice if we could move on. Disagreements on handling credit. Where are you on handling credit? Credit cards in today's world are, in many cases, a necessity and also a great source of problems and disagreement. How do you disagree? What do you use credit cards for? What do you pay by check? What do you pay by credit card? Are you clear that everybody understands how we do it here and we like the way we do it? Do we read and understand our tax returns before we sign them and send them in? Is there a full understanding of the tax returns? Do you have a good accountant? Do you do it yourself? Does Dad do it? Does Mom do it? How is it done? But in any case, does everybody understand, the adults in the family, what the tax return says and sign it before they send it in? Do we both understand our insurance coverage and retirement finances? This is another big one. There's so much fuzziness today in the insurance situation. Do you have insurance? What kind of insurance is it? Does it run out at a certain time? Is it term insurance? What kind of insurance? What kind of retirement do you have for your finances? Are you adequately retiring money for saving when you no longer have a job or no longer have a regular income? Is this clearly understood? How do we handle spending and investing decisions? Who makes the decision to buy a car, buy a house, buy this, buy that? Do we have a clear idea of spending and investing decisions in our family? In whose name or names are the houses, the cars, and all of the other assets registered? In other words, we have all of these assets. Whose name is on all this? Does anybody know? Does everybody know in the family? Well, let's take a look now at another set of financial questions which I am running into more and more as I prepare couples, particularly for second marriages. Not always second marriages, but most of the time or much of the time this comes about, particularly if there's quite a bit of money involved. A prenuptial arrangement. Now, a prenuptial agreement can be very tricky. And a lot of people approach these like a horse that's already spooked. You know, a horse that's spooked is ears are straight up. He or she's very tense, and the horse is just spooked, ready to take off. The goal of the prenuptial arrangement is to prepare for a wonderful life together and protect your assets at the same time. That is the goal of a prenuptial. To have a wonderful, safe life together and have your assets protected at the same time. Seeking an agreement doesn't have to suggest a lack of trust or a casual view of marriage. Just because one of you is saying, you know, I feel much more comfortable with a prenuptial agreement doesn't mean you're doubting that other person, you mistrust them in some way, or you have a shaky view of how real tight marriage is. It doesn't mean that necessarily at all. Listing your assets, in fact, and your debts before a wedding can help build trust. This is not a bad idea. Generally speaking, when I'm working with couples that are planning to get married, there's not a whole lot to list as assets, and a prenuptial agreement isn't something that most of them even think about. But as I mentioned, in second marriages, particularly if people are down the road a while, or third marriages, then prenuptial agreements are something to look at. Having said all of this, the goal of it is to have a happy life together and protect our assets, and it can be valuable to list blah, 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 blah. Having said all this, however, if you're feeling pressured or under duress of any kind to agree to terms in a prenuptial agreement, read my word. Read that word carefully. Beware. That's all I have to say about prenuptial arrangements, but I've said a mouthful there for some of the listeners who may be listening today. We strive then for a model financial profile. What does a model marriage financial profile look like, in my opinion? Number two, you have no consumer debt except a mortgage and possibly a car payment. I know some of you are saying, what planet are you on, Dr. Lovelace? Well, are you living on Mars or Venus or someplace else? You have no consumer debt except a mortgage and possibly a car payment. That's number one of the financial ideal model financial profile. Secondly, you maintain insurance that protects you from financial disaster that may arise. I'm a big believer in insurance, and I think most of us are underinsured. Some are overinsured, I know, but you maintain insurance that protects you from financial disaster that may arise. Very important to have that kind of security and that kind of coverage. And lastly, but not least importantly, And here is a real tricky one. You maintain an up-to-date will. You know, the funny thing about a will is people keep telling me, yes, boy, I believe that. I'm going to take care of that next week. I hear that over and over again. Oh, Dr. Lovelace, I believe in having an up-to-date will. We must do that. I've talked to my wife or my husband about it, and we've been reminded by our attorney. We do need to have an up-to-date will, and we're going to do that sometime in the future. And real soon, we're going to do it next week. And next week comes, of course, and you keep going. So very crucial for every family, even young families, to have an up-to-date will. Now, you don't have to spend a lot of money on attorneys, and I'm sorry if attorneys are listening now. You can actually write a will. There's all kinds of interesting books in the bookstores that'll help you write your own will and get it notarized that will stand. It's an up-to-date will. You can do that. These are the characteristics that I would say we strive for in a financial profile. We cut down on our consumer debt, and the only real bills we have are mortgage payments and car payments. Everything else is paid for. Furniture, college education, yes. Our own education, yes, these are legitimate bills. But we want to start cutting down on our consumer debt as the marriage rolls along. We want to make sure that our insurance is very well written so that it protects us from financial disaster if that may come to us. And we want to maintain an up-to-date will. These are some of the things that I consider helpful and very seriously when we talk about treating money seriously, getting intimate with money, getting close to it, understanding its use for us. It can be a powerful motivation for progress. It can be a powerful motivation for all kinds of injury and hurt. In our world, the uses and the misuses of money on every side are so clear that I don't have to draw you any pictures about that. It's important for us to start as soon as we possibly can with a savings account, even if it's only $5 a month, something to kind of get that going. Remember what I say when it comes to the serious use and misuse of money. Don't try to be perfect, but do try to do better.